It's our great pleasure, my great pleasure, to have him here with us today. Thank you.
Good morning. Sat Sri Akal, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm very honored to speak here today. 2 years ago, when I heard about the shootings in England, I was very shocked. And it was really at the beginning of when we just opened the YouTube channel. And the aim of that YouTube channel had been to educate people about Sikhi in English, on YouTube. And Oak Creek and the shooting really shocked all of us in the UK. And I remember we had a vigil straight after at the House of Parliament, where we were all lighting candles and talking about what had happened. I know it's strange for you guys here to think about in London a little vigil outside the House of Parliament, but we had it, and I won't bore you with the poem that I read out there, but I was actually inspired enough to write a poem about the tragedy. For myself, obviously no one should be shot just because of their religion, and that really resonated. However, and Sikhs are very keen to say, look, we are who we are. But the message from my point of view shouldn't have been that Sikhs are not Muslims, because that seems to send this kind of wrong impression. But the one thing that I did find very ironic was the fact that it was Sikhs that got killed because of someone's hatred, given the fact that what the Sikhs stood for. And it then resonated even more that the Sikhs should be out there educating people about who they are. Because from the very beginning, when our first Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, 500 years ago, stood up, his very first statement was Na koi Hindu, na Musliman, which basically means there are no Hindus, there are no Muslims. 500 years ago, that was like, you're going to get shot for saying something like that. Although they didn't have guns, but you can get what I'm trying to say. The fact that he stood up and said, we are all one, and that there should be no discrimination based upon religion. And then his successors throughout their time, stood up to that tradition. When the third Guru appointed preachers that were women, something that had been totally new. When the fifth Guru makes the Golden Temple, which is an iconic building, but then makes it with 4 entrances to say that it's open to people from all corners of the earth, from all backgrounds. And then this institution of langar, which I'm sure all of you are going to have later after this run, once you work up an appetite. Free food to everybody, regardless of your background, your culture, your religion, your social status. And then his son does something remarkable. The 6th Guru, he built a mosque. How often could we think about the head of a faith making a prayer place for someone of another religion? And that place is still there now. It's called the Guru's Mosque, which itself is, the name itself is a bit unique. And then his son, the 9th Guru, was once asked by the holy men of the Hindu religion, who were being converted against their faith, to say, do something to help us. And the Guru at that time said, well, someone's going to really have to put their life on the line. Someone's going to probably have to die to help you guys. And then the 9th Guru realized, based upon the kind of advice of his son, the 10th, that it's going to have to be him. He's going to have to be the one that gives up his life to stand up for somebody else's freedom of religion. And the 9th Guru, in the capital of India, which is celebrated as a big social political center, also happens to be the place where the 9th Guru was beheaded, standing up for the freedom of the Hindus to practice their faith. So, we are one is pretty much built into every Sikh from the day they are born. It's been taught to them since when they were young. And it's very ironic then that on that day 2 years ago, Wade Michael Page felt that he was actually standing up for his views by killing Sikhs who intrinsically believe that we are all one. So the failure has to lie partly on the Sikh shoulders. And we've always had broad shoulders. We can take responsibility for where we failed. And we have failed to educate people about who we are and what we believe. So today you might see me walking around handing out these leaflets, which are basically, facts about the Sikh faith. And some of the things I talked about now are what we will talk about. But I want to talk a little bit about Chardikala, the relentless optimism that drives us forward. Where does this come from? Well, it comes from two main places. The first is that God is a loving God, and God is our soul God. There's only one for all of us. You and I, male or female, Sikh or Christian or any other faith, all share the same one Creator who loves us and happens to be in charge of everything. It's kind of like being in an army and, the commander-in-chief of the army happens to be a really nice guy. You kind of tend to assume that he's going to be doing something which is for the best of all of us. Even if, as one little pleb, one little guy at the bottom with a gun, you don't quite understand how it all works out. You believe in the grand plan. So we believe that God, the Almighty, is a great and loving God and happens to care about all of us. And His plan is bigger than our minds can comprehend. And the second reason why we remain optimistic, obviously knowing with this great plan is good, is that we can connect to this Creator. If we call upon the name of God in the same way that Jesus says, "Hallowed be thy name," we believe that chanting the name of God, to actually call upon Him in any name that we think suits Him. For us, we use the name given by our Guru, Vaheguru. Vaheguru means, Vahe is like wow. Yeah? Anywhere in the world where I've travelled quite a bit, whenever they say wow, it seems to start with V, like Wah, or Woo, or Wow. So the word Vahe just means wow. And Guru, as you can tell, means something to do with enlightening someone. So God is the great enlightener. And when we connect to God by saying His name, we feel that love. And that love is what keeps us optimistic. We feel that bliss of connection. You may call it meditation, you may call it chanting. We just call it connecting to God by calling upon Him through His name. So I want to finish off with just a few chants of that mantra, Vaheguru, to remember those 6 people who fell, to recognize that even though 6 people who fell, Wade Michael Page was also one of the person who died that day, all stemming from the same problem, a lack of understanding of the fact that we are all one. So as we honor and remember all 7 who fell, let's remember the one who could give us that truth and enlightenment, but to get to that truth and enlightenment, we have to reach out to Him through His name. You can stay silent and listen, or you could join me in chanting. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru Ji, Vaheguru Ji, Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Our Guru taught us always never to hate and never to have any enemies and never to fear, because the plan is made by the One, and the One is great, and the One is very loving, and so therefore we entrust ourselves into His care, and we believe that if we do the right thing, if we are good people, then the world will be a better place. So we have to start with number one, ourselves. So I hope today as we run, we'll all enjoy the weather. Luckily it's not like yesterday. There's no lightning. I'm very glad. We'll enjoy the run, and hopefully this community and all the Sikhs across the world and all the Americans will come to recognize that Sikhs are no different to the average American. We live in the same one, and we work hard, we love, we care, we share, and we are all one. Forgive any mistakes that I made. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.